Oh, man. Oh, just right into it. No bumper. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the DNVR show.
Let's go. Do an air after, I don't know. It just felt weird.
Still a show.
It's just the hard cut from the
Somber.
graphic.
It was weird. It was a weird transition. Somber day here as some crazy news. Jokic's first coach, somebody very important to him, Dejan Milojevic, who was an assistant coach for the Golden State Warriors but was his head coach with Mega Basket, passed away. So we're going to talk about that today. A very tragic passing. 46 years old. We're going to talk about who he was, what he meant to Nikola, and to help us do that, we're going to bring on Mirosalv later in the show. Mirosalv knows him very well, played for his favorite team, Partizan. I don't know if you guys know this. Played for Partizan, had a very big career as a player, and then obviously went on as a coach. So we're going to spend a lot of time today talking about him and what he meant to Nikola specifically, what it could mean for Nikola going forward here over the next couple days. I have to imagine this will affect him quite a bit. We're also going to talk about the game last night. Some hangover takes. We're going to get D-Line's takes. Was he chipper last night? Was he down bad? Was he somewhere in between? We're going to find that out. Who knows? We're going to search his emotions like therapy. And then later on the show, I'm going to ask these guys, who's the least untradeable player on the Nuggets?
Nikola Jokic.
Wait,
Who's the most,
No.
Who's the most tradable?
Hang on.
Or
The
who is
least untradeable.
that
carry
is
the
most
floor.
tradable.
Jokic is the most untradeable. But I think that who's the least untradeable? Meaning who's the guy? Like, you don't want to trade any of the main guys.
Who's the most
You don't want to
tradable?
trade any of the main guys. But if you had to trade one of them, one of the top 9 guys or so, who would it be? To help me out, I got a full squad today. Brendan votes in the house. Look at this, man. You look so...
Thank you for that, because it almost felt like it was heavily implied that I would be traded first. So I'm glad you
should
kind
just
of
talk about
squeezed a buffer.
on the show,
Least
who would we trade
untradeable at the
first?
company.
Yeah. I mean, I know, but I just didn't want to open that way.
Over here, I got D-Line Co.
That's right, guys. I'm interested, as you mentioned. I don't know how I felt.
Yeah, I
last
can't
night.
wait
I'm curious to find out myself.
It's like therapy where I'm going to make you search your own feelings for the first time.
I don't know if that's a good idea.
This show's a disaster.
Live on the internet,
for
fellas.
LD Live.
And then over there, Harrison Wind.
I can report we have not traded Kale. He still works here. He's just
He's
on
just
vacation.
suspended.
It's not suspended. He's
No,
skiing.
he's up in
he's-
Jackson's Hole.
He's
All right,
not just, he's working without pay.
there you go. But first, we're going to start with hangover takes, guys, of the big game last night. I'm going to start with my. Usually, I go to somebody else. I'm going to start with mine. I have
Selfish.
2 takes. Yeah, very selfish of me. Number one, and we said this the other day, but yesterday, as it were. But you win the title, and just things don't stick as long. You kind of go back, man, that sucks. Now we're just NBA champs still. So it does, for me, that's definitely how I felt. Like last night, you go home. Usually after a loss like that, I'd be maybe scrolling the timeline. I was kind of just over it already. And then number 2, here's what last night really reminded me of. The Nuggets win a championship last year, and it's the highest of highs. To go from that to regular season basketball has been, I think, weird I think the Nuggets experience, if we explain the experience so far this year, it has been one of, it pales, everything, the highs and the lows pale in comparison to last year's playoff run. And you notice, you can't help but notice it. Last night was far and away the closest I've come to feeling like a playoff game. And I think just in that, even though it wasn't a loss and it was the painful version of that feeling, it kind of just feels good to feel. And that was my biggest note, is that last night felt fun in a way that no other regular season game has, because it felt meaningful and it felt tense in ways that no other game has felt meaningful or tense.
It felt real. It felt real. It's the only loss that's felt real.
Yep.
I haven't cared about any loss this season.
We've been
except this one.
We've been annoyed, but
Sure.
that's different than being
Very
like
different.
angry or sad or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just like,
At the bar last night, it felt like a playoff game. Everybody was locked into the game.
Yeah.
And look, we have great crowds at the bar all the time, but everybody's not always locked in to every possession like it's a playoff game. Like, nobody was talking at the bar last night when the game was going on. Everybody was just zoned in on what was happening. It's the only time it's felt like that this year. And it did feel like a real loss for the first time this season to me.
Yeah, I mean, if you're asking for my official,
Are you ready for it now?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm responding or if I'm giving my official.
We're kind of talking now. You can just talk on that point if you want, or
Well, I don't
any
know,
point. How the show works is we all kind of just talk.
I didn't check the rundown.
Oh yeah, that's it.
I don't know that I have access.
Still the same show.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. It felt to me like a playoff game, and it felt like a playoff game that happened at another on the road, and you lose those from time to time. It felt like the Nuggets were engaged. Like I was nervous going in that we were just going to get a ho-hum, blase kind of effort, like that they were going to try, but they weren't going to try that hard, whatever. But man, they wanted to win that game. They really wanted to win that game. And it was a very hotly contested game. There was very little defense played from either side. There was 80 points scored by both sides in the first half, which is unbelievable.
Not quite 80.
Excuse me, 78.
That's right.
Which is
80. Who scores 80?
Yeah,
Come on, dude.
which is an unbelievable number. But the crazy thing for all the failings that the Nuggets had that you can point to, this, that, or the other, like the game was dead. A dead heat with 7 minutes to go and Jokic checked back in, and it really could have gone either way. It was a little disheartening to see them falter down the stretch, but also we've seen that that's been a strength of theirs, like in the biggest possible moments. I just feel like they're maybe a little bit out of practice from that. Like you mentioned, it's like there hasn't been a truly real feeling game to this point. And that's exactly it. I left and I was like, man, that was fun. That's like why you watch basketball, for games like that. Like that was exhilarating. I really was riding the roller coaster, and then it was over, and I was like, I'm off the roller coaster, and then I just went like I played pickleball like any other person would,
like a normal person. You're right that. Oh, actually, I'll get to you. Your hangover take here.
Well, first of all, once you back away from it, you see the final score. And you see that game is in Philly, and you go, all right, that was a close game that the home team stepped up and took. And it doesn't feel like when it got to 10 in the fourth, something just in the moment, right? Just in the absolute pure moment of watching the game, it felt like something decided had happened, that 10-point deficit. And not really, right? Like they went on a run. The Nuggets actually responded a little bit. That was a close game. So it's one way that I felt coming out of that game that I really still feel today is I would like to see those two teams play in Denver, and I could see a very similar game just swinging the other way. And that's not attempting to, like, all credit to Philly, but like a hangover take from moving on from the instant anxiety of losing a big game. You start to realize like what a good game that was and how much both of those teams were just in it till the very end.
That game had playoff intensity, but not playoff execution. I think that's why when the intensity goes up, the offense goes up. When the execution and focus goes up, the defense goes up. This one didn't have the second part.
Yeah.
I thought there was intensity on defense, but not necessarily good execution. And so as a result, you get a bit of a track meet, and it's kind of cool to see what two teams look like when they're both kind of dialed in and focused like that. But I'll be honest, man, another part of me is, after sleeping on it and kind of looking at some numbers, watching some tape, I kind of actually feel more confident in Denver. I know this feels like the weird. If I was a Sixers fan, I would look at this clip and be like, that's Cope right there. But I honestly watched that game and I go, I hope Denver sustains a top level of play for another, 10 games or so, because I want to see an extended run. But the Nuggets over these last 3 games have shown me like, oh, that's right. Their playoffs are going to be just fine. They're on pace to be the exact team we know they can be, and they're good in the areas that are most important. Some of the areas where they're not good, including Jamal Murray's attention to detail in that fourth quarter, I just know that's going to be fine. And the areas where they are good, half-court offense and just scoring every time they need to in the half-court, I'm like, oh yeah, I feel really good about the Nuggets route right now, even if it's not the most rewarding, experience so far in the regular season.
For sure. I mean, if you take a step back, they're about on the same pace that they were last season record-wise. They have a much better defense than they had last season numbers-wise. The bench, I think, is better than it was last season as well. So you look at the bigger picture, Yeah, the Nuggets are in a great spot, and they still have a chance to do a lot of great damage this road trip, going to Boston on Friday, New York. They can still make a statement on this road trip, for sure.
I think the other thing, and we were talking about this earlier, D-Line, I think that this was a less contentious game than in years past. And maybe, again, that's my own perspective because the pressure isn't there for me personally. The Nuggets have a title. But I almost feel like you saw Jokic and Embiid giving mutual respect to each other, I just didn't feel as contentious as years past.
No, because I realized this. I was like, unbeknownst to me, the title has given me a new, unfound or previously unknown sense of zen. Like, I just am like, I'm not living and dying knowing that we're fighting for our legitimacy, and like the Nuggets might not be we might be wasting our time with this team. We might be lying to ourselves, and we're not. We were right. And now it's like, are we going to get to that next place? Like, I hope so. I definitely hope so. But like, this team is good enough, and the NBA is such that like you don't win every game, and so I didn't feel the content. It was hilarious to me. I woke up and I saw like Pat Bev trying to stir the pot, and I was like, dude, go away. Like, who
Pat
are you?
Bev stirring the pot, though. Is he stirring the pot?
He's attempting to.
You think?
That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, he was talking about Jamal Murray. Like,
But was he trying to stir a Philly-Denver pot, or was he just trying to, I think Pat Bev said what he feels. I think he's wrong, but I think he said what he feels.
but it's a pot stirring feeling.
Sure.
It's a boast. Like in defeat, Jokic is gracious. In victory, Embiid is gracious. In victory,
Pat Bev is himself.
Bev's an idiot, an
He's
asshole.
himself
Like,
no matter what.
But so like he's the only one. He just got here. He doesn't quite get it. He doesn't know what these two teams have been through. So it felt like I just felt like respect more than anything for myself and for it. It felt like coming back from Philly. So
wasn't he on the team wasn't he on the Clippers that lost in the bubble? Was
he's
he
on
that team?
he's been on every team that's embarrassed themselves.
The Nuggets have beat
Well,
Pat
Jamal
Bev,
dropped
right?
40 on him. I don't know. I would like to see the clip, to be honest. You know what I mean?
Was there a clip, or is it just a scrum?
I just the quotes always read.
Not everybody gives you guys video from the locker room. DNVR.
I'm not the first media member to make this point, but the quotes always read differently on Twitter than they sound. Like, I don't know if there was a dash of self-awareness.
Can
or
you
like
do me a
laugh
favor?
or
Can
like
you
anything.
can you pull up the quote? Hold on, let's pull up the quote because I want to hear you say this in a way that is not disrespectful.
No. I think it is I
wanna
think
hear
it is. No, I think it is disrespectful. Of course.
Hold on. I just want to get this. Will be funny though.
I do think there's
No
like
key. I've been locking his ass up for years when asked on
Look,
the key.
if he
Say
says
it in the most respectful
it's not that.
tone.
It's not that. If he says it with any kind of laugh or a smile or any sort of self-awareness that he's Pat Bev, honestly, it's a different quote to me. I go, okay, it's Pat Bev being Pat Bev, and it makes me laugh. I do hope Jamal sees it.
Yeah,
I hope Jamal
he
sees
saw
it.
it.
He saw it for
All right,
sure.
good, man. Internalize it. Don't even let people, whether it's a joke or not, don't let anyone say that.
But the larger point is that in the past, it feels like there'd be a lot of that coming from everybody. We'd hear from the Morris of the world. We'd hear from it would just sort of be a deluge of this type of thing, and it was just really the Pat Bev, which you just roll your eyes and laugh.
I think that's more because it's Pat Bev. It's just,
That's
it's
my point.
Yeah. If it was Maxi or something like that, then it would have been like, all right, we're here. Or even Tobias Harris, but it's Pat Bev. Although, I will say, keep playing the fourth quarter. Pat Bev blocks the hell out of Jamal Murray on the way back. I do hope, though, I will say Murray took his licks, I think, from the Denver media. Not that the Denver media is like this big entity or whatever, but, Murray took some licks from fans and media over this game, and then Pat Bev to give him that. I do hope it's the type of thing that wakes Murray up a little bit to be like, oh, these MFers. Like,
Yeah, man.
as a competitor, you would hope that would be the response, so we'll see. Also, that happened last night, you guys. Yoke went out drinking. You guys see this?
Yes.
Yoke went out drinking. Do you have it there, Tiff, to pull up? He was spotted at McGillen's, very well-known, very famous Philly bar that I learned about earlier this morning when this went viral.
This is a lot like Bruce Brown showing up and asking for stock show tickets. Like, I know he doesn't play for the Sixers, but it's a very, Sixers fans loved this move.
You know
They
who else
loved
was
this
seen
move.
at McGillen's?
Who's that?
D-Line. I went there when I went
last
to
night?
Philly. No.
Oh, when you went to
I
Philly?
went there and I had a...
What's the vibe there?
Irish?
It's old. It's a very old bar. It's a lot of wood, a lot of dark wood.
Yeah.
I drank a Yingling.
Oh, nice, man.
We listened to
Man, it's crazy hearing that like it's like a thing. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
Because I know that it's regional, but that to me that was just one of the options.
A Yingling?
Dude,
Yeah.
you can't get those out here,
it's
man.
Yingling is a brewery, and it's they have a Yingling lager. It's dark colored, but it's regional. In
a great
Pennsylvania,
beer.
the Yinzers really love some Yingling.
If you grew up in Jersey, you'd see it in a fridge. So it's just kind of funny hearing like, I got a Yingling. You
Well,
know?
They're a prized possession
Yeah.
west of the Mississippi. You can't get them out
get
here.
'em.
You can't.
I believe you. No, it's
Yeah.
just
and
a great sentence.
they're very, very mid.
Oh yeah, it's not much to write home about.
But it is funny because I did see all of our PHLY people who don't like Jokic kind of being like, man, my respect for Jokic at an all-time high.
he went to a
Because he
bar.
went to this bar. You know, Philly, every place, it's not just Denver. Every place just wants you to want like their things. And then if you just pretend to, they're
That
like,
being
man,
said,
our
we
guy.
don't want Joel Embiid to go to Red Rocks or anything
Oh,
like that.
I'd be so pissed.
We do not
Is there
want
a place
that at all.
Joel Embiid could go that you'd be like, man?
If you went to Casa Bonita,
Oh
Casa
God,
Bonita.
I would hate him more.
you know what?
This
Denver
bar-
sucks. Denver does suck.
this
I'm sorry.
bar-
I-
if you
What?
came to the DNVR
We have to
bar.
take a picture with him. Guess who stopped by the DNVR bar?
Like that time Jamal took the picture with the Nugs and four or Sons and
Oh, I-
four
I
guy.
forgot
Remember when he
about-
did that
I'd
like a
forgotten
week
about
after it
insane.
happened?
He went to
That
his
was
party.
absolutely insane.
Because it wasn't like he was trolling him. He was just like he was like a participant in the party.
He's like, oh yeah, he swept the Nuggets without
did
me.
hit
It wasn't
that
me.
guy.
I got swept. It was those guys. I was out.
that was maybe the lowest moment of Nuggets fandom.
Yeah, that was low.
That was really rough, man. It was really rough. Any other hangover takes about this game?
I kind of feel like you do. I'm actually encouraged
Yeah.
through this loss. Like I saw a lot of things I liked a lot. I saw a lot of things that were like schematic that you could work. Just like the fact that Tyrese Maxey was wide open because they couldn't figure out how to switch correctly. That type
That
of
was
stuff you
ridiculous.
like. Yeah, it was ridiculous. But it's it's regular season stuff. I'm really excited to see them play in Denver. But it felt like when we lost a game to the Suns in Phoenix in the playoff.
Right.
And as memory serves, I think that didn't matter either.
It did not. It did not matter. All right, let's take our first break on the other side. Let's get to Mirosalv. We'll bring him into the show, and we'll start to talk about and remember Dejan Milojevic.
Guys, if you want cheaper gas, who
I
doesn't
do.
want that? You need to register for the Circle K Inner Circle program. It's a free membership, super easy to download. You can download it with that QR code right there on the screen. You can go to circlek.com/inner-circle. You get 25 cents off a gallon for your first 5 fill-ups. That's more than worth it right there. Then you get a lot of other deals as well. You get discounted items on stuff in the store. A lot of other perks for being in the Inner Circle program as well. And there's tons of Circle Ks around Denver. I know Colorado for sure. So if you're local, sign up. Circle K Inner Circle program. It's free. You just go to circlek.com/inner-circle. You give them your email, phone number, boom, you're set up right away. Get 25 cents off a gallon on your first 5 fill-ups. It's that easy. circlek.com/inner-circle.
We've got you covered with all these reads, man, from the roadways to your home from head to toe, from roofing to now flooring.
What?
With our friends at
What?
Empire
From
Today.
roof to floor?
Empire Today, baby. You may know them for being super famous as the standard for flooring. That's where you get the best. That's where you get the best new flooring. They got tons of copycats, but you don't want what they have to offer.
I love good flooring.
They're advertising products that are so low quality. Empire Today doesn't even carry them.
Oh my!
Get it done with Empire Today. Schedule a free in-home estimate today, and all of our listeners can receive a $350 discount when they use promo code DNVR. That's a lot of money, folks. $350. Save it when you use code DNVR. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/DNVR for more details.
Adam, what's your favorite type of flooring?
I mean, hardwood for sure.
Actual
For
hardwood?
sure.
Real hardwoods for sure.
Is there a specific
But there are
wood?
engineered hardwoods. I would say a good like cherry stain. I would say I like the grayer ones too. I like a gray tone. Guys, let's get into this. Dejan Milojevic was Jokic's coach at Mega Basket. He was, if you've watched 100 Invisible Threads or perhaps listened to the show years back when we first started talking about Dejan, and we did an episode actually with Miroslav back in I think 2019 or 20 when we talked about the impact that he had. He was the First coach, so Jokic gets picked from obscurity and placed onto Mega Basket by Misko Resnatovic. He had just seen his stats. His scout went out and was like, yeah, this guy's worth taking a flyer on, sends him to Mega. Mishko's impression was that was going to be a project. 3-4 years, we get this guy in shape, we kind of develop him, he's 7 feet, maybe there's something there. Immediately, Dejan, who was the coach, calls Mishko and tells him, this is not only going to be our starter very soon, but this is a star player. So I think we can chalk this up for saying that Dejan was among, if not the guy, who first thought Jokic was something special. And he molded Jokic, him and his team, molded Jokic into the player that he became. And, Denver drafted him after 1 year of playing for Dejan. He ended up playing a second year. And in that second year was the MVP of the Adriatic League. So Dejan was there and really shepherded him from a no-name with tons of upside and talent, identified that talent immediately, and then cultivated him into being a star player. He was also a star, Dejan, in his own right, the Serbian Charles Barkley, as an undersized great player. So that's the backstory of who this guy is. He ended up leaving Mega and coming over to coach the Warriors, where he has been. I know Kevon Looney credits him a lot for his development. Think about what a good player Kevon Looney has become. Not a guy that was on the radar to be a great player. Dejan had a big hand in that. So he's a guy that I think has ties to a lot of people, but to Nikola in particular, there's something about being the first coach to sort of believe in you to that degree. And that was Dejan. So I wanted to set the table there to talk about that because this is a big deal for Nikola. So let's bring in Mirosalv, of course, our host of Serbian Corner, a huge Partizan fan, which is where Dejan played. Mirosalv, how are you, my friend?
I've been better. I'm not bringing in the jokes today. It's a serious day. Although I did bring my earphones, so I hope you can hear me well.
There you go. Can you turn it up just a hair, Tiff? Is there possible to get that a little louder? So Mirosalv, honestly, just tell us real quick, how big of a story is this in Serbia right now with Dejan's passing?
It's huge. I was just browsing through the media portals today, especially after we found out that Dejan actually died today, and it's like if you have 15 news on the front page of a sports portal, 14 of those news is going to be about Dejan. It's just reactions from everybody that knew him, his colleagues, his coaches. Just everybody is talking about Dejan. It's the top story of the day. I actually have not seen Nikola Jokic going to a bar in Philadelphia because this whole day was just, searching for any piece of news I could find out about Dejan and his conditions. So, yeah, it's a huge story because Dejan was a beloved figure, absolutely a super positive guy. As you mentioned, he was a Partizan Belgrade guy, but I haven't heard a single Red Star fan trashing Dejan ever because he was such an amazing human being.
Tell us real quick about what kind of player he was, because I know Serbian Charles Barkley, but he's a 3-time Adriatic League MVP.
Yes, that's right. I mean, he had a stretch between, I want to say, 2003 and 2008 when he dominated EuroLeague in several different clubs.
EuroLeague, not just Adriatic League, EuroLeague.
No, EuroLeague. He was the best power forward in Europe in that period. He was amazing. We called him Serbian Barkley because he dominated the boards at 6'7", and he also had a plethora of the low post moves. That's why he was actually the perfect coach for Nikola to start up his professional career. Because my favorite quote of Dejan's about Nikola Jokic was that he had to specially prepare for every workout he's gonna do.
We just had the fire alarm go off at the bar.
Miroslav, this might take a second. Will you just kind of tell us some stories here? You just take the mic and we're going to mute ourselves.
Okay. So the story that Dan said that he needed to specially prepare for every workout with Nikola Jokic because every new move he would show to Nikola would just do it perfectly from the first try. So he had to prepare a lot of that stuff in order to keep the workouts interesting for Nikola and to help him, become a super dominant guy in Adriatic League and afterwards. Of course, Dan never wanted to call himself a prophet. He never said that he thought Nikola could become at one point one of the best players in the NBA league. He thought that Nikola might be a good NBA player, but to these heights that Nikola achieved, he just never thought that would be possible. And don't forget, it's not only Nikola we should be talking about here that's been influenced by Dan. Vlatko Čančar was also Dan's student in Mega Basket. He's our guy as well. And so many other guys like Vasa Micic, like Boban Marjanovic, like many other guys that are not as well known in the NBA circles, but just great basketball players that owe their careers to Dan's great work. And one thing that's characteristic about Dan as a coach, everybody said that, and even he said that, is that he was the buddy to the guys first and coach second. So he was really having a great relationship with all the players he was coaching, which is not really something you will hear about Serbian coaches. Serbian coaches are very strict, but this guy was such a ball of positive energy. He would use that positive energy and staying in present to engage his guys into coaching, into training hard and becoming better players every day.
So what do you know of specifically Jokic's relationship to Dejan? And was it well publicized in the early days of Jokic at Mega? These two guys playing together. I know Jokic kind of snuck up on people, but what was it? What is reported about their relationship?
Back in that day, not a lot, because even when Nikola became the MVP of the Adriatic League in his second season with Mega, everybody was like, yeah, that's cute, because in Adriatic League and in EuroLeague, the MVP is not somebody that is being voted as the best player of that season. He's just somebody that has mathematically the best numbers. And it's possible that guy was playing on a team that was like 5-22 during the season, but he's still the MVP because he has the best numbers. So we kind of don't take those MVPs too much into consideration when thinking about players. I honestly thought when he moved straight to the NBA after the Adriatic League, I was like, oh man, I don't know how smart this is, because this guy is not really a big name, but yeah, let's hope he'll get there at some point. So no real reporting from my side about their relationship from there. What we know now is from the stories we've heard many years afterwards. Yeah.
And if you recall, I mean, Harrison, I don't know if you remember this story, but Jokic in his early days of Mega didn't necessarily, I don't want to say didn't love basketball, but I think there were times he thought about quitting and was like not very interested in it. And I think Dejan was one of these guys that sort of understood the temperament of Nikola, when to press and when not to. And I'm just kind of curious too, like, you remember some of these stories. You've met Dejan, you've done it, you've interviewed him before. Yeah. What can you say about their relationship?
I think if you probably ask Nikola Jokic, this is the coach that he's by far the closest with and by far connected with the most. And yeah, I think there is probably some mutual understanding between the two of just how to play the game, how to talk about the game. And look, I mean, like, Nikola Jokic sees the game like few others do, and probably like few coaches do. But I think Dejan was kind of the first guy to connect with him at that level and just kind of see the game and understand Nikola Jokic like no other coach does.
Miroslav, how do you think this is going to affect Nikola?
Oh, that's. I mean, first of all, I have no idea. But let's play armchair psychologist here. But I wouldn't be too surprised if we would hear that Nikola is traveling to Serbia to attend the burial of Dejan Milojevic. It wouldn't surprise me too much, even though that would be quite a task to do. It is just for at the very least, I'm not sure we can expect him to play against Boston tomorrow. Like, I don't know. I don't know if he can find the strength to concentrate on his job, as he often refers to, and play against Boston tomorrow.
Yeah. Do you guys have anything from Miroslav?
Well, first of all, I just wanted to. Obviously, that was a bit awkward there. Not planned, and it's never happened before. So during a very sensitive topic, so we apologize to everyone. But no, I just wanted to thank Miroslav for coming on and explaining to us and our audience, because we've spent a lot of time trying to understand and building a real community with Serbians, not just as an idea or a funny internet thing, but quite really and truly. And so it was important to us today to try to capture that context. So it was good to bring you on, and I appreciate you taking the time, man.
Of course.
Is there something else you think we should know about him, or that Nuggets fans should know about him?
I mean, the last detail about his playing career was that he won that gold medal at the Eurobasket 2001, and that's the last Eurobasket gold medal we have. So that's the connection to Dejan and the whole team of Coach Pešić back in the day. With us, that's still very strong, and until we get another gold medal, that team will still be so strongly in our hearts. And it's not a surprise that everybody was just so bummed out. It's not. I mean, it's a young person that died. He was
46?
Yeah, he was talking to his friends yesterday, and now he's gone. And actually, he had a podcast appearance something like 10 days ago on one of the Serbian sports podcasts, and he was talking about living in the present. Like, he didn't make any plans for distant future. He was always living week by week, month by month, year by year, and he was trying to make the most of it. So this is one thing that kind of I think this is something fans can take some comfort in, because he lived his life to the fullest. It was a short life, but it was very worth living it.
Well, really tough news, and I'm sure it's going to affect Nikola. I wish he wasn't on the road. I know it's a weird thing, but I'm curious to hear his thoughts. I actually regret that I never got to meet Dejan. There were a few opportunities, and I, in my head, always thought, like, at some point I'm going to try to get an interview with him, maybe see if he'd come on the show or this or that. And he's so young, 46.
It's 1 year older than I am.
It's really, really young, really, really shocking. Well, Miroslav, I appreciate you sharing that information. I could tell just from talking to you how sad you are and how much it affected you. To be honest, I didn't know. We'd been texting, but I didn't realize it. But, it kind of brings a weight to all of it to kind of know just how much it's affecting the Serbians. And you can imagine how much it's affecting Nikola.
Dejan wasn't a celebrity. He was just our Dejan. And that's a different kind of grief. You can almost feel it like a member of your, extended family.
Right. Well, Miroslav, thank you so much for sharing that with us, buddy.
Appreciate you.
All right, we'll see you. Let's take a break. On the other side, we'll get back into some more Nuggets topics and some news and notes from this last week.
Guys, if you're looking for a roofer, hit up Red Hawk Roofing. They are your go-to. They're experts in the field. They've got decades of experience. They use quality materials. And they're huge DNVR supporters. They're in the bar all the time, rooting on the Nuggets, rooting on Colorado's teams. So hit up Red Hawk Roofing. They're your go-to for any roofing needs, home or business. Also, they're giving away 2 tickets to Nuggets 76ers, the rematch on January 27th, just 10 days from now. And you can win those tickets by coming by the bar on the 25th, 2 days before, for our watch party then. They're also raising money to match support for the Volo Kids Foundation. Red Hawk Roofing, great people. They're raising money for a great cause, and they're giving away 2 tickets, which you can win on the 25th here at the bar in person at our watch party. So come down for that. But if you're looking for a new roof over your home or house, hit up Red Hawk Roofing, redhawkroofing.com. Tell them DNVR sent you.
We love watching elite athletes on display. Perhaps no one understands better than us that not everyone gets to be an elite athlete. So you might not get an athletic scholarship, you or your kid. That's why it's important to start saving for college early. College Invest makes that easy for you with flexible savings plans. And you can even benefit from a Colorado tax deduction. And savings can be used for trade schools and apprenticeships nationwide. Open your account today at collegeinvest.org.
Alrighty, we're back here. I wanted to ask this question because the trade deadline does start to pick up now. You know, some trade rumors. By the way, we had a big one today. Toronto trading Pascal Siakam to the Indiana Pacers. We can react to this one first. Brucey B signed his deal with the Indiana Pacers. Has been a huge piece for them. They make a big move, which I actually think is a great move for them in getting Pascal Siakam. But what did it cost Bruce Brown? By the way, this was partly why Bruce Brown was traded or signed to the deal that he was signed. When people looked at it and said $22 million, you know, $40 million over 2 years or whatever it was, that's a lot of money for Bruce. A lot of this was with the idea of if they were to make a trade, they now have a trade in that bracket. I think Zeke Naji is a similar situation that he was signed. I mean, I think now that he's playing so poorly, it's significantly more of a risk. But I think a lot of it was, we need to sign him for more, actually, than he's worth because we need to have a contract to trade. So Bruce Brown signs that deal with Indiana, and now he goes to Toronto. What are your initial thoughts on this one, Wind?
I actually don't like the trade for Indiana. I'm not a big Siakam guy. It kind of reminds me of the Cavs going to get Donovan Mitchell, and it just, like, not really moving the needle for them. I don't know if it really moves the needle for Indiana either. Pascal Siakam, all-star in the East. I
hate this take.
So I'm not a big Siakam guy.
This is such a like East Coast energy about on Jokic take.
How?
Like he's an unsexy because he's an NBA champion, unsexy player. And it's like, I don't know if he's
Siakam's made the All-Star team once. The other time he was an injury replacement. I just think he's a little overrated. That being said, everybody immediately wants to talk about Bruce Brown and can he come back to Denver? The answer is no, unfortunately. The Nuggets can't trade for him. He's making too much money. And I think Bruce Brown now has become the hottest name on the trade market that every contender's going to want, man.
Bruce played this so well.
Everybody's going to want him.
Nobody wanted Bruce last offseason. He was available on day 3. Now he's like the
Mavs,
most popular guy in the league.
Everybody is going to want Bruce Brown. Unfortunately, the Nuggets can't get him, and I don't think he's going to get bought out either because the Raptors are going to be able to trade him to somebody. He's a wanted man. So that's unfortunate, but yeah, those are my thoughts.
Remember when Bruce Brown talked about really knowing his former teammates' tendencies, and he had those couple blocks on Kevin Durant? And
yeah. Well, I think he had one, but yeah.
That one, thank you. I really don't want to play against Bruce Brown in the playoffs. I'm not like, oh, now you're screwed. Just like, I'd rather not. I'd rather not play against a guy with an endless well of energy and a deep understanding of who these guys are.
Well, we saw it with Houston, right? Jeff Green goes to the coaching staff and is like, here's their week. I was around them. Nobody knows. This is how you do it. Bruce Brown probably would, in a playoff series, have at least something similar. I'm not saying he has the master plan, but he probably knows what a team tries to hide. Like every team goes over, we got to hide this.
I guarantee you he knows exactly how he would try to strip Michael Porter Jr. on the drive. And I'm not even trying. I guarantee you he knows exactly how he would do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I'm like, I look at this, and from the standpoint of Indiana, like their issue is that they don't defend, they can't defend. Like, are they? I mean, is this like they're hoping to score even more?
No, he's a good defender.
But I mean, like, does he plug the hole that they have? Like, does he? I don't know. Like, to me, it's kind of a bummer that they coveted Bruce Brown, but they were so quick to get rid of him. I was immediately reminded of the now infamous Calvin interview where he was talking about be careful what you wish for. That you don't necessarily that both sides, I guess, didn't necessarily get what they wanted out of that.
You think when he said that, because I don't remember the context, was he thinking he was saying that about Bruce?
He was saying that more about Indiana.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I think he was saying it more about the Lakers.
I took it
because it was like the Lakers want Bruce, and
I took it to mean Indiana is paying a lot for Bruce Brown, and they're be careful what you wish for in that way. Like, I don't know if you're going to get that amount of production out of this guy. Although it could be looked at like he was the piece that then got them,
which is what it is.
Yeah. So
yeah, I think it was towards Indiana.
Yeah, I think it was towards Indiana as well. I mean, I don't know what to make of it. I kind of with Wind a little bit. I don't know if this like pushes them to where they need to go. But I'm bummed out for Bruce. Like, even though like he's probably going and ultimately end up in a better situation because of it. Like,
is he?
Probably
Toronto. You're saying when he gets traded to a contender now? Yeah.
Like,
what if it's Philly?
It could be. That would suck.
If I was Philly, I would do that in a heartbeat. Literally just for what we talked about. Also because he's good.
Yeah, that would suck. I would hate that. So I don't know.
He just unlocked the whole Canadian tuxedo portion of his wardrobe, though. He unlocked a whole new look.
Dude, this pandering job is going to go crazy.
I'm telling you, I don't know if he's pandering.
It's just a joke, but he does acclimate quickly.
I think he actually just likes cowboy stuff.
I also think he acclimates quickly. And I'm very excited to see what that looks like in Toronto.
I don't know. None of us know what that means. What is the Toronto stereotype? There's Canadian.
I don't know. I'm just saying.
It's hockey. He's probably like big maple.
I'm literally curious to see where
it's
it
Drake.
goes.
It's hockey. It's maple syrup. It's
maple syrup.
Everybody knows that.
Everybody knows maple syrup.
Shows up holding.
I actually like Siakam there. I think Tyrese Halliburton. You're going to have to give him defense and a secondary, playmaker guy that can be versatile. You want smart players around Tyrese Halliburton. He's very smart. I actually like this one. They have a lot of shooting. They make more threes than anybody in the NBA, so you can afford, I think, a little bit of one guy who's not there. So I actually really like this. If you're saying like, does it make them contenders? No, but if you tell me, I think they have two pieces of a big three. Yeah. I think they have two pieces of a big three, and they have a runway now to figure out what their third piece is. And to me, I think that's a really good spot to be. The other thing on Bruce, though, you were saying, and I'm pretty sure, I'm not exactly sure how this works. I think he just lost a lot of money, though, in taxes. Because I know Toronto is what's one of the reasons players always say they don't want to go there is you get taxed the heaviest. And I have to imagine that deal he signed just lost a little bit of value for that one reason. Unless he gets traded to like Miami and then it goes right back up.
Oh, man. Listen, the possibilities are endless. And we need to absolutely worry about Bruce Brown making $37 million or $30 million.
Where does Bruce fit? Where do you feel like is a comfortable spot for Bruce? If you were to send him to, if you had to.
I mean, Dallas is the perfect spot for Bruce. And I remember,
it's so true. No, he's right.
And I remember they were interested in him, I believe, in free agency. I don't think they could outbid Indiana.
Grant Williams has been terrible this year. You go for Grant Williams.
Dude, something about that really clicked for me. Like I could see that in a heartbeat.
I mean, him next to Luka is perfect. I mean, you can't think of many better backcourt pairings than that. And then, you just throw in his interests off the court, and it's a perfect fit.
Yeah.
Yeah, he fits everywhere, though. That's the thing.
He does.
Bruce.
He is a guy you can slot in.
I'm like, he would be great for Philly. He would be great for Boston. He would be great for Miami.
Great for Milwaukee. He
literally fits. He's the ultimate glue guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
God damn it.
If I were to ask you guys then real quick, who is the most untradeable person in the Nuggets rotations? You'll answer it on the other side. Let's take our last break.
Stay tuned.
Hell yeah, dude. That got me.
Guys, at DraftKings Sportsbook, you can bet $5 and get $200 instantly when you bet on the NHL. So you can bet on the Avs, you can bet on whatever NHL teams you want. You can bet on the Toronto Maple Leafs, Bruce Brown's new team. And you can get $5 or bet $5 and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. It's that easy. Just download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use code DNVR. Got to use code DNVR. Bet $5, get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook. That's with code DNVR. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY to 467 7369 in Connecticut. Help is available for problems with gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort. 21 plus age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after assurance. See dkng.com/hockey terms for eligibility and deposit restrictions and responsible gaming resources. NHL and the NHL Shield are registered trademarks of the National Hockey League.
And if you're going to bet on Colorado sports, you probably want to watch Colorado sports. You can watch the most Colorado sports for the lowest price with our friends at Fubo TV, where you'll get 140 plus live channels of sports, shows, movies, and news. Stream live TV from any device. No contract, no cable, no hassle. But yes, DVR. Up to 1,000 hours of cloud DVR included at no extra charge. Watch all your favorite sports at Fubo. Go to www.fubotv.com/DNVR. That's us, www.fubotv.com/DNVR to sign up for 15% off your first month of Fubo Pro.
Alrighty, we are back. So, if the Nuggets were to make a trade, and I gotta be, one thing we should say that, this is just me, this is just my opinion, my impression. I think Cal, to me, seems like a guy, Calvin Booth, that is more likely to trade players than Tim Connelly. I think Tim Connelly was a guy that was like pretty reluctant to make trades. He
talked about it. Yeah.
Talked about he didn't like it, didn't fit his goal. I think Calvin might be a guy who is more like, I don't want to say cold because like I don't really know that it is cold, but just I think
he treats it way more as a business than I think Tim Connelly did.
Yes, to reference the interview yet again, I think that much is clear.
Yeah, we talked about it with Tim on this show.
So I think, and with Calvin. So I think that as we get ready to approach the deadline, I don't think the Nuggets make a move because I don't think the Nuggets have the flexibility to make a move. But me saying that is in part because I look at it and I go, because they wouldn't trade Reggie. They wouldn't trade Christian. They wouldn't trade Peyton or Julian. But I don't know if that's true. And I imagine that Calvin has a different, sort of stomach for those things than I do. So I'll start with you, Vote. I'll go over here and I never start with you. Who is of the top 10 guy, and we're going to include Julian in this.
Okay.
So all the way through Julian, basically in the rotation, who do you think is the least untradeable? Meaning, like, you could stomach it. If you had to, you'd like, you know what? If it's the right piece, I would move on from.
I would say Julian. I would say Julian is a luxury, and I like him as a piece in the Denver Nuggets organization. Just with the way the depth chart has lined up and the rotation has played out, he is the most talented. I hate using the word expendable, but that is literally the word I'm looking for. So in a sports context, the most talented.
Do you get a lot for Julian, though?
I think Julian could be a part of a package. Like, I'm not saying I don't know for what. Like, I don't have a package in mind. I'm just saying Julian as a sweetener. Like, there are other teams who could look at Julian Strother and even what he's done already and say, yeah, I'm interested in that. And we have a different timeline than Denver.
Well, where I'm holding your feet to the fire is if he is part of a package, then the only way you package him is with either a lesser player or a better player, which means then you haven't gotten to the untradeable guy. Because if you're packaging him with
picks,
Christian with picks, okay, there you go.
But that was my squirm move.
What about you? Where do you go? Like, where are guys that you're like, they're not? I don't want to trade them. We're not trying to trade them, but yay,
it's all three of those young guys. It's all three of the.
Hunter and
Julian,
like,
young guys, incling P. Watt and Christian.
Oh, okay.
It's the secondary timeline. If you're deciding, if you're saying to yourself, we have one, we need to get two. We need to get veterans in here. We need to get guys. We saw, last night, we saw that Christian Brown had a really good first half, and he had a pretty underwhelming second half. We saw out of Michael Malone's mouth, he said that basically they didn't capitalize on the minutes that Joel Embiid was off the court. And if the Nuggets are really feeling like that is a place where they need to focus their efforts to ensure a dynasty is incoming, Project Dynasty be damned, ironically, like you would say, like, okay, all right, let's, we're not looking 5-6 years down the line to really get these guys to develop to where we need them to be. But again, like this is just a thought exercise. I can't imagine any of these things happening. But
We're taking Zeke off the table here, right? Because he's untradeable.
I mean, like
and he's not in the rotation.
he's like the most untradeable because no one would trade for him.
Yeah. Also, like it doesn't hurt to trade Zeke right now. He's literally not playing.
Literally
Right,
not
so-
playing. I mean, like if we're just talking like if you want things
It's
worked out
Peyton's,
perfectly
Christian's,
for us,
Reggie.
yeah, it would be like you could trade Zeke and you could trade Hunter and
J Huff, the rights to J Huff.
Well, I mean, we have like some intriguing young guys, some young guys. We've got your guy
Pickett, yeah.
exactly. Guys
Colin.
that haven't even like gotten an opportunity to showcase what they have, but it's like the way that the MLB looks at trades, like really deep cut kind of guys. Like
That is how the MLB trades.
farm system kind of guys.
Yeah.
Like we have farm system kind of guys that you could trade to, fortify that to get a backup 5 to potentially get another one. But I mean, the backup 5 is where we need help. So,
Is it?
well, it is a place we need help. I would say. I mean, do you feel good about DeAndre Jordan all the time?
I just don't think he's going to play much in the playoffs. So to me, that would be a regular.
Well, that's
season
what I mean.
adjustment.
Like it's.
But
Well, I see what you're saying.
So I'll let Wynn go first. Then I'll give my take. Wynn, how many of these guys do you think will be considered for trades or should be considered for trades?
None of those three. I don't think they should consider trading Julian Strother, Peyton Watson, or Christian Brown. I don't think those are even conversations worth having. I
So
think
if
it'd
you
be
could
wasted
get-
breath.
Even if you got, because here's the thing. Even if you could get somebody that significantly ups your odds of winning a
happening here
championship this year,
Yeah, I just don't know if that trade is possible. And like having Julian Strother and Peyton Watson and Christian Brown under rookie contracts is such a coup that I don't know if it would balance out moving one of them for a move that puts you 5% closer to winning a championship.
let me put it this way. What if, just as an example, and I don't forget contracts, I'm just trying to use logical examples now. If you could get a Kelly Olynyk caliber player or a maybe even a Bojan Bogdanovic caliber player where it's like, yeah, these guys are good and they have the 1 year plus 1 year deal. So you're not just getting them for this run, but you also will get them for one other run, but it's going to cost you that Project Dynasty asset. So it's like a deal that you can get as long as you part ways with Peyton Watson. So that's the one where you're saying like no chance. I think Peyton
I wouldn't even think about
What-
it.
what
And
if-
those two guys aren't possible to
Well, then
get.
wait,
They make
what-
too much
I know,
money. But
wait.
I would not
know
even.
what I'm saying, though.
I would not even have that conversation.
Dario Saric, there's an example. A guy who's on a cheap deal. So you could do like say Dario Saric for Christian Brown.
No way.
I would
Not
do
even having that conversation.
I would do that.
Well,
deal.
then what's your answer though? Like, who is the most untradeable, or at least
So
I don't remember.
It
anymore.
goes down to like
Honestly, it might be Reggie.
right.
Honestly, it might be Reggie. And I probably wouldn't trade him unless, there's a point guard out there that you could sign on a minimum that can give you, 5 to 10 minutes. But those three Project Dynasty guys, I am not moving them at all.
So Dario Saric for Christian Brown to you sounds like an intriguing one.
I would do it. I absolutely would do it.
That's
I
crazy,
don't
man.
know. I don't know where.
I think I'm. I don't
know
think
what the
it's crazy.
ceiling is for Christian
Dario
Brown
Saric is
anymore.
playing 10 minutes in the playoffs.
But
10 minutes a game.
I don't know what I'm going
Maybe
to get out
more.
of Christian Brown. Like I feel less
You
confident.
just saw what you're going to get out of Christian Brown in the playoffs.
Last year.
But there's such a thing as a people do hit a peak and then they regress in their second year. I mean, I don't know. I really don't know. Like because he's now in a position where we have to rely on him more than we maybe did last year because of Bruce Brown. The bench to me is just so in flux. Like I just feel so uncomfortable with it at this exact moment that I would definitely entertain the idea of getting like a really like Bogdanovic sounds very intriguing. I mean, I'm sure that the math
more
doesn't work
money,
out,
yeah.
but like
He's impossible to get.
But there are a handful of these players that ended up signing short-term, small deals that maybe they become available or what have you.
We are saying the same things about the bench right now that we were saying this time last year.
That
the
I agree
exact
with.
same things. They got to upgrade at the trade deadline to fix the bench. They need somebody else. They need another option. They did make a couple buyout additions that ended up not mattering in the playoffs.
That's true.
And the second unit was fine.
To me, that's the biggest thing is I just feel like you could trade for, say, a Dario Saric. I'm not convinced that he doesn't look like Zeke Naji on Denver's bench just because Thomas
Possible.
Bryant was playing real minutes for the Lakers and scoring at a high rate. at a super efficient clip, and he came here and looked like the worst player on earth, as does almost every player that plays opposite Nikola Jokic in Denver's system. I would be very gun-shy to part ways with a player, even though in my mind, Dario Saric is like a guy I would go to war with in the playoffs. I just feel like he's good.
I'm going to say something that if Dev was here, he would push back on, and I love how when it comes to the rotation, Dev is like, just better things are possible, like really. But I do think I'll stop sort of saying that this is an inevitable problem, the backup five, but I agree with Win wholeheartedly that it is a tenable problem. And there have been very few perfect rosters built in NBA history. Like, I think the Warriors had one. There's that one sweet year spot where because Steph was hurt, and so his max contract wasn't actually a max contract, and Durant wanted to be there, and they still had the vets. There was 1 year where it was like you couldn't find a hole. But most rosters have some holes, including championship ones. And they tend to be when the best player's not on the floor. And so, yeah, if Denver's weakness is whoever is not Jokic playing the center, like I think that's something you can live with. And I think Harrison's right.
I would hang up the phone if anybody tried to trade for Julian Strawther, Christian Brown, or Peyton Watson. I'd hang up the phone immediately.
The only one that I would entertain would be for Christian.
Not Julian?
I think it's got to be Julian.
I just
But
feel
also,
like I don't know.
like
I feel like his
Julian.
ceiling is so much higher. Like Julian has just shown already like moments of like transcendence that I don't know that we will necessarily. I mean,
I can't believe we're off of Christian Brown after 40
we're not
games.
off. We're not. I'm
I
not
can't
advocating.
believe
We're
this.
just having a conversation.
Again,
about,
nothing is
like,
about being off. It's about like the Nuggets have a title window. They have their main guys. So now it's these margin ones. And as much as Christian is awesome, the Denver have a deficiency right now that might sink them in a playoffs. And it doesn't matter how great the future is. You don't know if you'll have KCP in the future. You don't
But
have
Christian Brown's the present. He just was an eighth man in the playoffs.
But there might be a better present is the point. You don't know if you're going to have, health and luck and guys re-signing and everything else. And I just think it's worth a team looking at it saying, are we sure that this thing is worth it if we can get somebody else? And do you have enough? Maybe you have enough to say Julian and Peyton. That's enough of a future timeline.
I mean, I wouldn't seek this out, but if we're talking like it is trade season, you do have to make a trade. Like, I think that's probably where I would look.
So for Harrison, we learned untradeable runs all the way through, including all the way to Julian. I think everybody else seems like it is not looking to make moves, but at least you have to be receptive in case. Like, for example, Alex Caruso only makes $9 million a year. He's got 1+1 left. Is he a guy that would be worth saying, like, hey, isn't he basically just Christian in the future, but further along? Like, it may be a little bit more of a point guard because he can handle a little bit better. So, you're almost swapping one for the other, just a more present version of it. Maybe.
Yeah, by the way, I'm just doing the exercise. I'm not like eager to make a trade.
Yeah.
But I do. So I just think the exercise, to me, the most like this is a luxury piece of the pile is Julian. And I also like luxury. So I'm happy to keep him. But
we can see how you're dressed. We know that.
Are you
look
kidding
at
me?
this, man.
Yeah, come on.
I honestly think the bench is fine. I actually do. I actually think the bench is better than it was last year, and it's going to continue to get better throughout the second half of this season as Peyton Watson, Christian Brown. I think those guys are on an upward trajectory, not a downward one. And if DeAndre Jordan doesn't commit that foul last night, we're probably singing the praises of the second unit.
I agree with that.
Last night and today.
It's true. I think that there was like some unnaturally hot shooting in the first half, but my sense is that a lot of the NBA has gotten better than last year, and I don't know that necessarily what we got last year will be enough to get it done this year.
At the same time, the NBA was probably better in January than it was in April, May, and June. So this might just be the mid-season, and oh my God, here it is. Look at all these teams.
To be clear, I operate. My entire life is based on vibes, and I wouldn't disrupt the vibes by getting rid of any of the players. I mean, I think that they have something really special, and I do obviously see the runway and what it means. It's just like if a gun was to my head, and I don't think one is, but
that would suck if it was.
Hit that outro music for us, Tim.
That'd be a bad position to find
This is a
yourself
good,
in.
healthy disagreement.
I would trade Christian Brown.
It's good. We don't
I
get
mean,
to
I
do
would
that.
too if a gun was to my head.
Also, the other thing about it is we're kind of the team that doesn't trade. It's kind of nice. It's kind of like being the team that's like, yeah, we just got our guy. Everybody else is out there farming the waiver wires.
Let's just try to get better together, dude.
And yet this era happened on the back of a trade. It was
Aaron
Aaron
Gordon.
Gordon.
Yeah.
Dude, that's a
what
great
changed
point,
everything.
D-line. That's a great point, dude.
Like you find, it's not just luck and whatever. It's like you hone in, you make it happen, you construct the right team. It's not just the guy on the board at that time. Like,
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in for us. We do have tomorrow off, but we're back Friday as Vote goes on trial.
traffic tickets?
I know. No, a real trial. It's a Celtics
A
game.
real trial, Nugget Celtics. His entire reputation is on the
No,
line.
it's January. It's January.
Will you just tell me, are they winning or no?
It's January, so I can't get cocky.
All right.
But ask me the dumbest thing about me is I'll be more cocky in a finals matchup.
All right.
but I mean, we just learned there's like the good chance Nikola won't play. So that really changes
Maybe
things.
we'll find out. All right, everybody. Thanks so much. Throw us a like on the way out. We'll see you Friday.
We all silly like the mayor.